development economists, the policymakers that we have convened here, and the leaders from various sectors that are here gathered will offer their insights on the carefully selected topics and sessions in the coming 2 days. I'll just briefly point out to the objectives of this conference, but to say that when we are sitting in the other process that I've spoken about, our voice as civil society has been on the issue of transparency and accountability. And specific for this conference is how do we strengthen and enhance debt transparency through stakeholder participation and getting the buy-in when it comes to the solutions that we need in order to resolve the debt crisis that we have. So we hope that this is a platform that offers that accountability, that will offer for us to get that debt transparency that we have been calling for. We also hope that it's an interface, it's an engagement that will allow for us to be aware and to also appreciate the public debt management processes and the roles and the responsibilities of various institutions that we have in our country. And I'm sure you have heard and you're looking forward to hear from the Ministry, the Public Debt Management Office, from Parliament, from our Anti-Corruption Commission, from our members, and everyone who is here is going to make a contribution as we raise our own awareness in terms of exactly what is going on. And this, we intend to use our annual public debt bulletin, which was published by the ministry. Our 2023 annual public debt bulletin will be unpacked for us. We will be able to engage, ask questions, and say where we have bottlenecks and where there are issues that we need to raise. We'll be able to engage on them and with those issues respectfully and in the spirit of engagement and dialogue that we are setting as a people. We should be able to ascertain what have been the drivers of this public debt. Why are we in these debt unsustainable debt levels that we currently have, and what could be the implications, or what are already the implications of the current debt that we have, but not end the say what are the prospects going forward. We hope that it will be fulfilled, that we'll leave here on a positive note of saying what are the opportunities that we're going to explore, what are the prospects going forward. I therefore encourage each and every one of us to engage actively in the discussions, to also share your experiences and propose actionable strategies that we can make use of from wherever we are coming from. If you're coming from civil society, and civil society has got various sectors as well. It could be from the faith-based, from the women, from the youths. What is it that you're going to contribute? I call upon us to all make our contributions and ensure that, and we will ensure that those contributions will help us to develop a comprehensive framework that not only address our immediate challenges, but set a course for long-term prosperity. The Reverend here spoke about what kind of legacy are we going to leave for our children. Do we want to leave a legacy of debts, or we would want to hand over to them a better future? We would want to hand over to them a secured future with resources, with a stable economy, with natural resources, with an environment that is flourishing, a climate that is favorable as we got it. So it is our responsibility. And I hope that we take it even outside of this conference to continue to have this responsibility amongst ourselves. And as we embark in this journey for the next two days, I just want for us, as we make these discussions, to always keep in mind the resilience and the spirit of the Zimbabwean people. We've been resilient. We have been with this elephant in the room since the early 2000s, and we are here still standing, still talking about this, and believing that there are solutions, and there is a solution to this debt crisis, to the economic doldrums, the headwinds that we have faced. And together, I'm sure we can turn these challenges into opportunities and pave the way forward to a brighter economic, social, political future for us all who are here present, but also for the many generations that are going to come after us. Thank you so much once again for being here, and I look forward to a productive conference, and that we will not only be talking here, but we'll also use the space for us to network outside of this conference. Thank you very much, and you're warmly welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet. I'm going to write on the protocols that have been observed, and I think we have a mixed bag of people in the room, which is good. We have government officials, parliamentary representatives, people from the academia, development partners, media representatives, and we also have arts and culture people with us today. And I think that this mixed bag brings exciting views and perspectives to the DET dialogue. Also recognizing participants online, we encourage you to take part in the conversations throughout the day. Please do feel free to participate via the chat box, and we will be responding to your questions, and we will be sharing your comments with everyone we have in the room with us today. So in the spirit of our theme, embracing inclusivity, today we have with us a group from the arts and culture sector. They are Berina Community Arts, and they will be sharing with us their views on public debt management through dance, skits, and songs throughout the day. So please help me welcome Berina Community Arts. Can you give them a round of applause?
musatye henyu kana kuvhunduka. Tauya pano kuzotandara nemi. Mutambo iyi ndeyenyu, ndeyedu. Saka sunungukai kutaura, kuparticipata, kutaurawo nesu patinenge tichitaura. Haiwa, tauya kuzokutokonyai kuti mutaure. Amawe munoda mugariro wakadini kumasimba. Tinoda mugariro kana. Wose anoda mugariro wakadini kumasimba. Tinoda mugariro kana.
Chapa chikuri ndo unobva uya kuseni shoshwariye. Chikore ndicha ataka ndokuma mangwana mari yako. Mangwana kuti makuseni masikati nemanheri akati ure manheri okuya makuseni sei zvinoite aiyo chaiwe kana nyika teto ine chikwere tinoziva wani indava iyo ini tinorunewana nezvikwereti zvangu vakandibhadhara nozokupawo mari yako kuseniseni kunogera umani aiwa toseni pasarisi anopenga mfana we Chipo, ndipapakira mvura mari ndipa mvura.
Hakuna mvura 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 kunde. Unatozwa kuti mugodi wacho unokiwa hapana kuti mvura inakuna mvura yapera mugodi avachane.
Mai kuita sei kuno kumani?
Saka mai kuita sei?
Tigashire setule makadi bana baba na mai tinokuchingamidzai isitule Berina Community Arts. The name Berina rinobva pakuti Berina ndo the first location yeKadoma. Yanzi Gatuma chiri Gatuma, our first location yanzi Berina. So ndopakabva the name Berina. So we are Berina Community Arts based here in Kadoma. Saka tokutendai kuteerera kukanaka. Change chingosanganawo chingotokonyanawo apo napo tokutendai kuteerera. Thank
you. Thank you very much to Berina Arts community. We're going to move on to the next segment of our program. I see we have other people joining us online. I don't know if Jason has managed to join. Can someone on the media team confirm for me? Okay. So according to our program, we're supposed to have a presentation by Jason, but we're going to move to the next segment of the program while we do wait for him to connect online. I know they were having some technical challenges. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Petronella Mavinga from the Zimbabwe Public Debt Management Office, and she will be giving us our keynote address this morning. It is titled Zimbabwe Public Debt Stock, Efforts Towards Debt Sustainability. So can we give a round of applause to Ms. Petronella?
Thank you, Acting Mayor for Kaloma, Honorable Vanyangu, Honorable Members of Parliament here present, senior government officials here present, the academia, development partners, our artists, the Berina artists, ladies and gentlemen, apologies, representatives of the civil society organizations here present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm going to present on the public debt stock for Zimbabwe and give an update on the arrears clearance and debt resolution process. And I would want to thank ZimCode for inviting us to this conference. This is to give us an opportunity as a government to state the official position on public debt stock. So thank you, ZimCode, for inviting us. I'm going to do it as a presentation. Thank you. You can go up. So the outline of the presentation, I'll give a background on the legal and institutional framework for public debt management in Zimbabwe, a bit of recent economic developments, borrowing purposes in line with the legislation, then the total public debt stock position, issues on public debt transparency and accountability, then an update on the arrears clearance and debt resolution process, which includes the structured dialogue platform process, then progress on implementation of reforms and our roadmap. Next. So in terms of the legal and institutional framework for public debt in Zimbabwe, public debt management in Zimbabwe is governed by the Constitution, Section 300 of our Constitution. It provides for the limits on state borrowings, public debt and state guarantees. It also provides for gazetting of loans and guarantees, also including reporting of public debt. Public debt, again, is governed by the Public Debt Management Act, Chapter 22.21. This is the 2015 Public Debt Management Act. It provides for the establishment of the Public Debt Management Office, which has a front, mid, and back offices. Then it also provides for the objective of public debt management, functions of the Public Debt Management Office, the borrowing powers, limits, borrowing purposes, ratification of loans by Parliament, the terms and conditions under which government may guarantee loans, and also borrowing by local authorities and public entities. So on recent economic developments, through the midterm budget statement, for 2024, the projections, we are projecting a growth of 2%. This is down from 5.3% in 2023. This is due to the downward, the contraction of the economy is due to mainly to the agriculture sector, which has been impacted by the El Nino-induced drought, which we are projecting to contract by about 21%. Then the 2% growth is underpinned by the anticipated growth in the mining sector, 5.2%, accommodation and food services, like what we are doing here, we are contributing to our GDP, that is 12%. Then information and communication, 11%, and construction, 6.2%. And the major assumptions to anchor this growth is a stable inflation and exchange rate, and also a steady power supply to the economy. On the previous slide, there is also, for 2024, our revenue, we are projecting 93.2 billion ZiG, then a total expenditure 98.7. So it gives us a deficit of 1.3% of GDP, which is in the absolute figures is 5.5 billion ZiG. So these are deficit. Some people may ask, why do government borrow? This deficit is why we borrow. We borrow to finance this deficit. So whenever you see a deficit figure, you should know that we are going to add to our debt because we need to borrow to finance that deficit. So if you see for 2023, 6.5, it means we had to borrow to that amount of GDP to finance the budget. Then for this year, for 2024, we are projecting 1.3 deficit, which means we are going to add to our debt by that percent. Next. So borrowing purposes, some of the borrowing purposes, they are legislated in our Public Debt Management Act, which includes to finance national priority infrastructure. For example, you're seeing our Robert Mugabe International Airport. It has been rehabilitated, upgraded to a state-of-the-art international airport. It is a result of borrowed from China Exim Bank, 153 million for that airport. We have also borrowed for infrastructure for the Hwange 7 and 8. It is now adding 600 megawatts to the national grid. That is a loan of $900 million US. Then again, we borrowed for the Victoria Falls International Airport. So those are some of the projects that we borrow for. Then on top of that, we also borrow, like I said before, to finance budget deficits. So whenever you see a budget deficit, you should know that it's going to add to our national debt. So if you don't want us to borrow, then you should have surpluses. Then we'll stop borrowing. So those are the legislated purposes of borrowing. So our minister who borrow is mandated to borrow for those purposes. Next. In terms of stock of debt, as at end June 2024, our total debt stands at 20.1 billion US dollars. This is in US dollars. And the components of that, external debt, 12.3 billion, domestic debt, 8.7 billion, and the 20.9 billion US dollars in local currency, ZiG, it's 287.2 billion in ZiG, and it translates to 67.8% as a percentage of GDP. So our total debt to GDP is 67.8% as it end June 2024. You can slide up. So the components, external debt and domestic debt, we get our total national debt. For external debt stock, we have bilateral and multilateral external debt, which is 9.3 billion, and that is broken down into bilateral creditors, 6.2 billion US dollars, multilateral creditors, 3.1 billion dollars. So bilateral creditors, these are loans we borrowed directly, bilateral countries, like say we borrowed from UK, China, India, so forth. So the bilateral creditors are then split, divided into two categories. Those are Paris Club, mainly the European countries, plus Japan. Then the non-Paris Club, those who include China, your India, South Africa. Then we have the multilateral creditors. The debt is 3.1 billion as at end June. And the major creditor there is the World Bank, 1.5 billion. Then we have the African Development Bank, about 700 million. Then we have the European Investment Bank and Afrexim Bank, 427 and 383 respectively. So you see on this structure of external debt, the DOD is disbursed and outstanding debt. Then the PRAs, those are principal arrears. Then IRA, those are interest arrears. Then we have penalties. So we added the arrears and penalties. So you see the bigger chunk of our debt is now in arrears. Say we take the bilateral and multilateral external debt, that component, you see 7.259 billion arrears out of the total debt of 9.315. So that's where we have a challenge, arrears. And on Paris Club, again, almost like 84%, 3.9 out of 4 billion, those are arrears. And we started accumulating arrears in year 2000. So for 24 years, we have been accumulating arrears to our external debt. So that's our hurdle. That's our debt overhang. Civil society organizations want to use controversial terms like debt crisis. That's a debt overhang. Then to add to our external debt, we have the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe liabilities that Treasury assumed in 2015, in 2021, and in 2023, and that is, as it ends June 2024, it's about 3 billion, 2.9 billion. So again, a challenge there on the assumption of debt. The next. Can you move slide up? Yeah. So on bilateral creditors, as at end June, it's about 4 billion, and 4 billion for Paris Club. Those are the European countries, mainly European countries, and 98% arrears we have been accumulating since year 2000. And our biggest Paris Club creditors, our European creditors, we have Germany, almost 1 billion. And you see on that lines, the red part are penalties. Once you start accumulating arrears, you attract penalties to your debt. So the red part are penalties. So you see for Germany, almost 400 million out of the 1 billion, they are penalties. So on France again, about 800 something million, and over 600 million are penalties. UK, the same, and Japan, and USA. So those are our biggest 5 Paris Club creditors. So if you are going for debt relief, we should look out for these big 5 creditors. We really need to negotiate with the Paris Club for debt relief, because the huge chunk are penalties. What we borrowed is the orange and blue, but because we're accumulating arrears, then they added the red part to our debt. So you see, if you don't pay, there is a penalty. Then next. So on multilateral debt, we have 3.1 billion as at end June 2024. And the biggest, again, on our multilateral creditors, we have the World Bank, about 1.5. The orange part is the arrears. And fortunate enough for multilateral creditors, they don't charge many don't charge penalties. Some do, but very few. So they don't charge penalties. So you see, we only have debt disbursed and outstanding, the blue part. Then we have our principal arrears, what we should have paid on principal. Then our interest arrears, what we should have paid on interest. So for the multilateral debt, we don't have much of penalties. It's only the principal and interest arrears. And 83% of multilateral debt are now arrears. Next. So this is the structure of our arrears. For all the categories of our external debt, you see World Bank, over 90% are arrears. Then again, African Development Bank, over 90% again are arrears. The European Investment Bank, almost 100% are arrears. Then Afrexim Bank, this is a new loan. We borrowed in 2023, so we don't have arrears as yet. We are paying. Then Nani Paris Club. In Nani Paris Club, we have the biggest creditor there is China. And because we started borrowing from China after year 2000, so some of the loans, they are still recent. They are a bit recent, so we don't have much of arrears. You see about 30% the arrears to our China and India and South Africa. Then we have the Paris Club, almost 100%. We have arrears there. So that's our challenge. This is the structure of our external debt stock. So when we say the debt overhang, this is our story, that we have arrears and we need debt relief to clear those arrears. Then we restore our debt sustainability. Then also we can access external financing for our projects and programs to support the NDS1 and so that we achieve our Vision 2030 aspirations. Next. Then on domestic debt, as at end June 2024, we are at 8.7 billion. And the categories are government securities. Those are treasury bills and bonds that we issue to the market to finance the budget deficit. And we have domestic arrears to service providers. If we accrue arrears to service providers like electricity, telephone, etc. So if they are over 90 days, we include them as debt. So those are domestic arrears to service providers. We also have the compensation of former farm owners, 3.5 billion. The global compensation deed was signed in 2019, where we agreed with representative of former farm owners to compensate former commercial farmers 3.5 billion for the farm improvements. This is excluding land. They are only going to be compensated for their improvements on the land, not our land. The land is ours. We are not going to pay. So that's the status on domestic debt. So going to issues on public debt transparency and accountability, in line with the Constitution and Public Debt Management Act, we are mandated to report public debt stock positions, and the minister is mandated to report twice a year to the Parliament on the position of public debt. So since 2019, we have been reporting to Parliament. We have been publishing these documents on our website. So for 2024, we have published the 2024 annual borrowing plan, the 2023 public debt bulletin, which is the basis of this annual conference, debt conference. We've also published the public debt report to Parliament, and all these we publish on our website. So for 2024, you see the public debt report there on the website. Then for 2020, for the 2023 annual bulletin is there on our website. We have a new website now, so this is the old website, then that is the new website. So the physical documents these are the physical documents. So this is the public debt report to Parliament, which our minister submitted to Parliament in July when he was presenting the midterm budget. Then this is the annual public debt bulletin. We have physical copies, electronic copies on the website. So please, you can go to our website, zimtreasury.co.zw. You can access all these public debt documents, and they are for you for your use, for research, even engagements with the citizens. Next. So in terms of our reporting, World Bank rates all their member countries on public debt transparency. So they use what is called the debt reporting heat map. So on this heat map for Zimbabwe, since 2020 to 2023, the red is indicator of insufficient reporting. Then orange is limited reporting. Then if you are yellow, you're partially reporting. Then green is full reporting. So you see, for Zimbabwe, from 2020 to 2023, we have moved from those are 4 reds from 2020 to no red in 2023. So we have been making a significant improvements in our debt reporting. For 2023, no red, and also we have increased on the full disclosure. So we have 4 greens. We are working on making sure that this heat map turns to green for Zimbabwe. We have an action plan to make sure that we improve on our debt transparency and accountability through reporting, regular reporting of public debt. So they will check data accessibility. Is it there on the website? The instrument coverage, are you including also public sector debt, information on recent contracted loans, periodicity, how many times are you producing those reports? So we are improving, and out of the 39 rated countries in sub-Saharan Africa, Zimbabwe is one of the 7 with no red ratings. Next. Thank you, thank you. Next. So as part again of accountability, the Parliament plays a major role, a key role there. Parliament ratifies or approves loans. It's a requirement by law. So for 2023, Parliament ratified that a government loan from OFID. It was for agriculture cluster project, and beneficiaries are in Matabeleland North, Mashonaland Central, Marsh East, Harare, and Mashonaland West. So the loan was for 15 million. So it was ratified by Parliament. So Parliament plays a role. And also we are mandated to gazette loans and guarantees. So for 2023, that's the list of loans and guarantees that we gazetted. So it improves on our transparency and accountability so that the public can have can access what Treasury is doing in terms of loans and guarantees, who is being guaranteed, which companies, which SOEs, then and where is government borrowing and for what. So we include all the information, the amount of the loan, the creditor or lender, the purpose of the loan. Next. So from our debt overhang situation, where we are seeing that over almost 90% of our external debt is in arrears, and this has necessitated the formulation of the arrears clearance, debt relief and restructuring strategy in 2022. And as part of the implementation of that strategy, government in December 2022 established what we are calling the Structured Dialogue Platform with all creditors and development partners to institutionalize this dialogue on economic and governance reforms that will underpin this arrears clearance resolution process. This process is being championed by the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Adesina, and former President of the Republic of Mozambique. So under the economic growth and stability reforms, those are the priority areas under the economic growth and stability reforms, which include the IMF staff monitored program, then establishing a competitive foreign exchange regime, ending quasi-fiscal operations at the central bank, macroeconomic stability, tight monetary policy and sound fiscal management. Then it includes, again, economic governance, issues of revenue collection, expenditure management, and improved public service delivery. Then ensuring availability of social protection for all, undertaking measures that will improve access to inclusive social protection, and complementary investments from our development partners. So those are the priority areas under the first pillar, which is economic growth and stability. Next. So under this pillar, the progress that has been registered so far since the establishment of this Structured Dialogue Platform, that is December 2023, in line with the priorities for each sector. So for the economic growth and stability, the priority was to end quasi-fiscal operations at the central bank. So up to date, all Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe foreign currency liabilities were transferred to Treasury, and these are now being serviced through the national budget. Then also the exchange rate is now determined on the interbank market based on willing buyer, willing seller. And negotiations are currently underway for SMP. With the structured dialogue platform process, SMP is a critical anchor for economic reforms. So we are currently negotiating with the IMF on the staff monitored program. These negotiations will resume in September 2024. We are given ourselves time since the introduction of the new currency in April. So we said we needed time to see the impact of the new currency before we negotiate for an SMP. And again, the Liquidity Management Committee is now meeting on a regular basis. This is to coordinate liquidity into the market, injecting and withdrawing liquidity into the market, which is critical for our macroeconomic stability. Next slide. Another progress that we have registered under the economic growth and stability, government is in the process of establishing a single social registry. This social registry will improve access to inclusive social protection, and it has been piloted in 9 districts which were affected by Cyclone Idai. And government has been receiving technical assistance on this from the World Bank. And again, with the support of European Union and UNDP, government has established the Development Project Management Information System, DevPromise, to coordinate all development partner support, so that at least we know there's more transparency and accountability, and also there's no duplication. We know which development partner is in agriculture, which one is in health, and we coordinate all the development partner support, and also so that we don't duplicate again in our budget. So it's a coordinated effort. Next. So as part of the economic growth pillar, we are also making token payments to the to our creditors, the IFIs, quarterly token payments to World Bank, the African Development Bank, European Investment Bank. Those figures for World Bank is 1 million per quarter, African Development Bank 500,000 per quarter, European Investment Bank is 100,000 per quarter. And also we have started making token payments to the 16 Paris Club creditors. Those you have seen our major debt we owe to the Paris Club creditors, which includes Germany, UK, USA, Japan, and so forth. So we are making 100,000 US dollars per quarter. We are paying them as a sign of commitment to our re-engagement agenda. Next. So the second pillar under the structured dialogue platform is governance reforms, and the priority areas they include enhancing justice delivery, promotion of human rights, electoral reforms, public sector transparency and accountability, national peace, unity and reconciliation. And the sector working group, as I've indicated, it's co-chaired by the Ministry of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, together with the European Union. They have a sector working group where they do regular meetings. So within their sector working group, they agreed that these reforms will be monitored using international indicators. So the 3 international indicators are the Rule of Law Index, the Mo Ibrahim Governance Index, and the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. So they are going to use those 3 indicators to measure progress on the implementation of these reforms. Next. And progress on these governance reforms. The reforms have not started in 2022. Reforms started in 2017. And so far, there is the full implementation of the integrated electronic case management system by the Judicial Service Commission is in progress, almost complete. This will improve on their case management. Then also building of courts countrywide and decentralization of the High Court. You have seen now we have courts in Manicaland, Mutare, Machunaland West. We have a court in Chinoi, in Masvingo, in Bulawayo. So decentralization will improve justice delivery. Then we also have the establishment of the Judicial Training Institute for capacitation and training of judicial officers. Then establishment of specialized courts on anti-corruption, electoral court, labor court, and the commercial court. Also, this improves on justice delivery. Next slide. And the abolition of death penalty bill is going through parliamentary processes. There is a decentralization of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission to 5 provinces: Manicaland, Bulawayo, Masvingo, Marsh West, and Matabeleland North. And under governance reforms, there is also an issue of the PVO bill. Consultations were conducted, and there was a bigger meeting on 5 June 2024 where civil society organizations, government met and discussed on the recommendations to improve on the draft PVO bill. So this is now going through a parliamentary process. The PVO bill, we want accountability on public funds from civil society organizations. So that's why this bill is in place. And again, in May 2024, government engaged the World Justice Project for the Rule of Law Index to have a detailed report on Zimbabwe on the Rule of Law Index. And this report is expected in October 2024. Next. The third pillar of the structured dialogue platform process is the land tenure reforms, which is the 99-year lease, compensation of former farm owners, which is the 3.5 billion global compensation deed, and the resolution of BPAS. So these are the 3 areas under the third pillar. Next. So on the global compensation deed, government has made an offer to former farm owners to compensate the 3.5 billion on farm improvements. And the agreement entails a 1% upfront payment, which is 35 million. Then the balance will issue treasury bonds, US dollar denominated treasury bonds, with maturities ranging 2 to 10 years and a coupon of 2%. So the 35 million, the 1% upfront payment, has already been allocated in the national budget, and a process is underway for the 35 million to be dispersed. Next. Up to date, about 1,300 former farm owners have indicated their interest to sign the agreement with government, and a verification process is underway at the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development. And this verification includes the compensation committee, which is mandated by law to sit and decide on compensation of former farm owners. So the process is ongoing. And already former farm owners are submitting their application to the Ministry of Lands. They are submitting physically, or they have an option to use an online portal which they have developed. Next. Then on BPAS, government made an allocation of 20 million in the 2024 national budget. And in the sector working group, they agreed that this 20 million would be shared equally to eligible BPAS, which are those BPAS that were ratified before year 2000, which is before the land reform program. And there are only 5 countries with BPAS that have been ratified before year 2000, with farmers that were affected by the land reform program. This include Switzerland, Germany, Netherlands, Yugoslavia, and Denmark. And the former farm owners already are submitting their applications to the Ministry of Lands, and an advert was flighted in May 2024 inviting these BPA farms to apply for the 20 million compensation. And we are expecting payments maybe in the fourth quarter of 2024. Next slide. The third part of the land tenure reforms sector working group, there is the 99-year lease. In line with our NDS1, we want our 99-year lease to be bankable, to be transferable. So this subsector working group is focusing on enhancing that, on enhancing the current 99-year lease so that it's bankable, it's transferable, and this will improve our agricultural land, our productivity, and also it will ensure that government reduces its funding. Because if you have a bankable 99-year lease, it means you can go to a bank, use that lease as a collateral, and therefore government will not be funding the agricultural sector. So the draft land policy is awaiting approval by cabinet. This land policy will guide the bankable 99-year lease, and there are technical review meetings that are currently being conducted to review the current 99-year lease, and recommendations are coming from stakeholders so that the current 99-year lease is improved. Next. So the roadmap of our structured dialogue platform, the arrears claim debt resolution process, government have engaged the legal and the financial and legal advisors. This will assist in securing the debt relief, and those are the advisors. And again, as part of the roadmap, Treasury recalibrated the macroeconomic framework into ZiG from the Zimbabwean dollar, so that at least when we go into negotiations with IMF on the SMP, we have a recalibrated macroeconomic framework in our new currency. Next. And the IMF is scheduled to visit the country in September for the SMP negotiations. As we have indicated that the SMP is a key, is an anchor to economic reforms. So we are negotiating for an SMP, and we are expecting maybe conclusion by October 2024. And we are going to continue with the implementation of reforms under the three sector working groups: the economic growth, governance reforms, land tenure reforms, and also continuing with our meetings, our structured dialogue platform meetings. And we have a high-level meeting scheduled for September 2024, which will be attended by our president, HE, and also including our champion, Dr. Adesina, and our facilitator, Vachsano. Next. As part of the roadmap, again, we are going to continue making token payments, and also we are conducting resource mobilization for the WETA SMP. The SMP are usually dry, but we are trying to mobilize resources from development partners so that we cushion the vulnerable during the reform period. You know, reforms, you tighten your belts, but we want our vulnerable groups to be protected. So we are mobilizing resources for the social protection in agriculture, food security, climate change, proofing. We are also identifying, and we are going to engage a champion for the arrears claim and debt resolution process. This the debt relief process, you need a champion. Countries who have gone through this process, they had champions. For maybe Ethiopia, you have a champion, maybe Japan, USA, or UK. So we are identifying, we are in the process of identifying and engaging this champion. For us, I think we'll look at our biggest Paris Club creditors. Then again, at the end of this program, we need an IMF-funded program, and we will mobilize resources to clear, for the bridge financing to clear our arrears to the international financial institutions. and hoping that we'll restore our debt sustainability and we will be able to access again the international markets so that we get concessional external financing to support our projects and programs for our NDS1 and achieve our Vision 2030. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause, please. If you have the program, no, wait, if you have the program with you, you realize that we had Mr. Jackson brought the answer, and we are still trying to make sure that he connects and then we can have him deliver the speech. And once he is online, we'll do that. But after that, we have a photo session outside. But I would like to be a bit mischievous. I just want to take 3 clarifications so that she can clarify from the audience before we go to the what? To the photo session. The plenary will follow, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you have burning, not a question, a clarification from the very comprehensive presentation from the floor. Anyone with a burning, I'll just take 3. I will be very choosy. Number 1, the first one. Number 2, my lady. Then number 3, no one from this side. Then Joseph Shakunda, right? So I will begin with.
Okay, thank you. Disaggregation of the debt stock, focusing on resource-based loans and the criteria that is used by government in valuing them. I hope I'm clear.
Come again, please.
Assuming I missed it, I'm kindly requesting for the disaggregation of the debt stock to focus on resource-backed loans.
So you wanted that information from him, from here?
Yeah.
You wanted him to present on that issue?
Yes.
Okay, that's not a clarification.
Oh, that's not, okay.
From what he has presented. Yes, my lady?
I just wanted clarification with reference to a slide, I think it was the second slide, where you find that most of the debt is going towards infrastructure. But as a social and economic justice activist, I would want to see infrastructure not as in airports, but as in hospitals, as in schools. But you find that if we're going to look at even the 2024 national budget, it is more lenient towards debt servicing rather than on social spending. If you look at the allocations on education, on health, on social welfare, on water, they are all below the benchmarks and the international and regional protocols. So my question would be, why are we putting so much focus on debt, and in that, the debt of that is going towards airports, when the ordinary citizen is struggling, the one who is being taxed, he doesn't have a hospital, he doesn't have education, doesn't have food on the table. Why are we putting so much zeal on infrastructure? Maybe that's that clarification.
Thank you very much. My lord. So if you're in court, there's my lady and my lord. I'm your lord. Yeah, for now you're my lord.
Thank you. As a member of the civil society, madam, I insist it's still a debt crisis, not an overhang. But I am seeking clarity on the multilateral debt. I did not see the IMF, but when you were speaking about the roadmap, you referred to the IMF. I'm just seeking clarity on that disconnect. Then also, you indicated 5.2% growth in mining, and you said that is underpinned by a steady supply of power to the economy, a stable inflation and exchange rate. The reality check on the ground is the exact opposite. So is this projection rooted in reality?
Thank you.
Thank you. On the resource-backed loans, maybe you need to clarify on the definition of resource-backed loans. We don't have that category as yet in our debt stock, but maybe we can include that if you clarify on the definition. What is the meaning of resource-backed loans? Then on number 2, why emphasis on infrastructure projects? Those were just examples. We also have projects that are loan funded, that are debt funded for the health sector, the education. We have a loan from OFID where schools have been built around the country. We also have been construction. There has been construction of health centers countrywide using again loan funds. So I think we just highlighted those bigger projects due to their big in terms of amount, and also they have wider linkages in the economy. But we also have those the health centers. We also have schools being constructed using loan-funded. Then on the third question, the debt offering. IMF is, we don't owe IMF anymore. We cleared our arrears to IMF in 2016. But because the debt restructuring process, IMF is treated as those preferred creditors. They have their the pari passu treatment, which states that you need to clear arrears to all the international financial institutions to access funding from even IMF. So we need to clear arrears to the World Bank, to the African Development Bank, because they have their preferred status in the global financial architecture. That's why IMF is in the picture, although we cleared arrears to them in 2016. And on the assumptions, that's why we say assumptions. But we are working on the stability so that we maintain this macroeconomic stability. We are projecting a stable inflation, the low exchange rate. We are projecting a single-digit inflation for this year, so that at least there is stability in the economy. And on power supply, the Hwange 7 and 8 is on full throttle. So we are hoping that to maintain that supply of the additional 600 that was added to the national grid. So we are projecting a stable power supply during the 2024 to anchor our 2% growth this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think at this moment, it's time for us to go outside, have a tea break, and photo shoot. But before that, let's give her a very good round of applause. I would like you to note other questions, because you can bring them later on. I want to get them, they are still with us. We will still have time to ask them further questions. That's why I told you to take those 3 questions. So,
just to add, we have these documents. So if you need, there's so much information on debt. So if you need a copy, we have few copies here, but we also can access online a copy of the bulletin. It has all the information.
Just to add on these documents, she told me earlier on to say, we would like to train Parliament on how to read these documents. Honorable Chidoa, they believe that some of your friends in Parliament don't understand these documents. So they were calling CSOs to partner the Ministry of Finance for the training of your other
colleagues. It's a welcome thing, right? So Zimco do approach you, Miss Mavinga, for the training. So can you please go outside for the next 2 items that are there? The group photo on the swimming pool, right? And the tea break around that area as well. We'll come back in the next 15 minutes. Yeah, by 10:55. 10:55, we must be back here. I will send you
They are the same. Different. The green one goes to Parliament. This one is just here, public. But the bodies are the same.
Oh, cool.
I'm